What's up? I'm Malynda Hale, and you're watching Thisis50.com.
What's going on, everybody? This is Boom, and we're here with Santa Barbara's princess, Malynda Hale. And, you know, she just dropped a single, Something Worth Fighting For.
Yeah.
All right, so tell us about the single.
Yeah, it's a anthem, I like to call, because I feel like where we are in the world right now, we need music to uplift us, and that's really what my music is about. It's about uplifting people, being positive, and this song specifically was just to remind people that we all have something that we're fighting for. So I wanted it to be in a song, so that's the reason for writing it.
Yeah, and a lot of your music has a message to it. Like,
yeah.
When you first got into music, was it something that you wanted to, like, be able to express your feelings and get your point across and make a movement out of it? Or was it just like you just began singing at an early age and you were like, oh, well, my voice has power to it, so...
Yeah, it was definitely an evolution as far as who I am as an artist. When I started, you know, I think everybody starts writing love songs, so that's kind of where my artistry started. But as I've grown and as I've gotten more involved in politics and different movements, I figured that music was a really good way to make a difference, because everybody listens to music, and music is a universal language. And I felt that using my music and my voice that way was a better way to make an impact and to maybe change people's perspectives on certain situations and certain causes and certain movements that are happening in the world right now. So I would say in the last 3 or 4 years, I've really changed my artist aesthetic, so to speak, as far as what I want to get across with my music. So it's definitely been an evolution, but I love where I am right now.
All right, and then tell us how the song came together. How did you come up with Something Worth Fighting For?
Well, I actually started writing that specific song a few years ago with for a friend's musical that she was writing, and I realized that I really liked the song myself, so I wanted to keep it. So I ended up, my MD for my band, I ended up sending the song to him a cappella, the full song, and I said, hey, can you just put some cool chords to this? So he sent back almost exactly what I heard in my head, which was really cool because we worked together for a while. And then I brought in my friend who's also one of my songwriting partners. Her name's Anna Harrington, and she helped me kind of flesh out some of the verses, and then that's basically what you hear on the record now. And I love the process because it's been a while since I've been able to co-write with people, and because I just like to write on my own because it's my voice and what I want to get across. But the team that I have right now really helps me expand what I'm trying to say in my music, because they've known me for such a long time, so they're able to help me just get the exact perfect lyric, the exact perfect chord progression. So I'm really happy with the way the song turned out.
That's great. And then the song is on your new EP, The One, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
All right, so break down how you came up, how the recording process went for your EP.
So I started about a year ago, and I know this seems like a long time for just 5 songs, but I really wanted to make sure that every song on the EP I was proud of, because people put out albums all the time where they're like, number 6 I hate, you know?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to go through that. So I took a lot of time to write my feelings out, to figure out what I wanted to say and get the right people on the EP. And that process has been a year, and so I've just been really proud of everything that we put on the record and how it came out.
And then being from Santa Barbara, you're right near the beach, so it's a lot of inspiration.
Yeah.
So, like, what were some inspirations you had making this album?
I definitely think world politics right now and everything that's happening. Of course, like I said, I write a lot of inspirational music, so looking to different things like the Black Lives Matter movement and all the female empowerment that's happening, that definitely played a part in the songs that I wrote. And then, you know, my husband, you know, he's a huge influence and a huge muse for me, so I do have one love song on there for him, and always have to, because he'll get on me if I don't, I'm sure. And then I have another song on the EP called Chicago, and that city played a huge part as my growth as an artist, because we moved there for a few years, and when I moved there, I didn't know anybody. I moved there in January, so it was freezing and I hated it and I was mad the whole time. But when I left with a family and a huge community, and that city really forced me to figure out who I was. And I think it's really important to kind of put yourself in those uncomfortable positions, because it allows you to grow. So that's kind of where those songs came from.
All right, and then speaking of you watching a lot, I'm sure you watched a lot of politics, television right now to come up with the album project. So, like, what was something that really caught your attention, like, in the news?
Specifically, the situations with police brutality. That obviously is very close and dear to my heart, because I do feel that race relations in this country, though they've gotten better, they're not going away anytime soon. And the song We Run that I have on the album, I released it a couple years ago, but I redid it for this EP. It's really a way for people to understand what the Black Lives Matter movement is about without assuming the Black Lives Matter movement is about something else. Because for me, it shouldn't be a controversial topic. You know, it's a group of people that are simply asking to matter. And I wanted to write a song that was from my heart and my experience, but I knew that would showcase what other people are feeling in regards to that situation as well.
And then being that, you know, police brutality is usually like a male like situation. Like usually a lot of the time in the news you only see males getting brutalized by the police. Like how does it come or affect a woman's standpoint? How does it affect you guys, being that, you know, you're not women aren't really publicized in the news for police brutality, but how does it affect you as a woman?
I mean, there's definitely been a few situations for women, but it's definitely the majority of Black males. And I think it's unfortunate because I think as a Black woman, you want to see your Black brother showcased in a positive light. And when all you're seeing is negativity surrounded by them, it affects you. And, you know, my father's Black. I have Black nephews and a Black brother, so I know who they are as people. But I know that society, no matter what, will see them walking down the street and immediately have an opinion of them without knowing them. And that affects me because whenever I have children, I don't want my son to have to go through that. So I think just as a race as a whole, it affects us all. And so we all have to come together to make a difference and to try to change that narrative.
Okay. And then We Run, you played the piano throughout the whole video. Yeah. Was it inspired by a musical, or were you just like on the piano messing around and you just was like, wow, I gotta...
You know, that's a good question. There was one specific, I think it was right after Sandra Bland that I actually wrote that song. And I literally just sat down at the piano and started playing and singing what I felt. And then I wrote it down, and I eventually, you know, fleshed it out to make it a song. But the process of writing that really just came from my heart. And I didn't write it in the same way I write other songs. Because sometimes I'm like, okay, I want a concept or I want to write about this, but I just had to sit down and sing my feelings, you know. And I think that's why that's probably the most vulnerable and most touching song that I have, because it truly came from my heart without thinking of it as a song to write, to be commercial or have a hook or anything like that.
Okay, and then you began playing the piano at 7 years old.
I did.
So, was it something you just gravitated to, or was it something like your family put you into, or how's that?
Well, my dad was a musician. He played guitar and bass, and I remember him trying to make my sister learn the piano, and I would always run in and just turn the keyboard off and then run out, because she's older than me. I was a brat. Yeah. And then he was like, well, maybe Malynda wants to learn the keyboard. And I was like, yeah, I do. Like, I really do. So they put me in lessons, and I loved it. And my sister stopped playing because she wasn't even that into it. And she actually ended up being an artist. But it was funny because they could tell that I wanted to get that attention. I wanted to learn how to play the keyboard. So I'm glad that my mom and my dad put me in lessons.
All right. And then being that music is family business.
Yeah.
Like, so you and your sister ever came up with any songs together?
My dad. So my sister's an artist, like
visual
artist.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, she can make the cover.
Yeah.
Why you make the song? And your dad,
she actually ended up being a teacher, but she's still a really incredible artist. But my dad, you know, he's always trying to like, hey, you know, I got a song here. You know how parents are. But I'm actually working on a Christmas song that we co-wrote together, so that I'm going to be releasing that this year. Yeah, it'll be our first thing that we've done together.
So would it be a Christmas album that leads into it?
Just a single, actually, because I don't have time right now for a full Christmas album because it's a lot of work. But just a Christmas single.
Oh, that's messed up. Your dad gonna be like, so you ain't got time for me, huh? That's what you're saying? No. I brought you into this world.
He did. He brought me in, and they always said they'll take you out, right?
I got more than a Christmas song.
Just a single, but he's happy. He's so excited. Yeah.
What are the conversations like with your dad as far as like your music and politics and or injustice? How do you guys' conversations work?
We have really good conversations about it. You know, he's always been one of my biggest supporters and biggest fans, and encouraged me to write about whatever I believe in. And as far as politics go, we really try not to talk about them that much in family. Even though we all are on the same page and agree, it can really be detrimental to you to constantly talking about the things that are happening in the world, because I have to sometimes turn the news off and just take a break, because I've seen this, you know, like Black people, especially with police brutality, you can have PTSD from like watching that stuff. And so we try to stay very positive in my family. We'll talk about stuff and it upsets us, but we really do try to stay positive.
All right. And then being that you're his daughter, you know, as a daughter, you go to him for direction and for guidance. So what's probably the deepest conversation you guys had that has to do with like something you've seen like on the news or something that happened?
I think I wouldn't say, it's not necessarily even advice from him, but just hearing that, because he grew up in Mississippi. So hearing his experience with race relations and him feeling as if history is repeating itself, it breaks my heart, because I know that he and my mom, who's from Louisiana, so they both had that Southern upbringing and that Southern experience, wished a better life for their daughters to not even have to see what's happening in the world today. And so it's heartbreaking to hear their stories and what they went through, knowing that people are still going through that. So it's been interesting, and I don't want to say exciting, but it is cool to hear their experience and their stories, but it's also sad knowing that history is repeating itself.
I mean, then coming from the South, you got a lot of soul to you.
Yeah.
So being that, what would you say is one of the most powerful songs that you've written for your new project?
I mean, clearly We Run, but I think also the title track, The One, is really powerful. One, because it's very feel-good, but if you really listen to the lyrics, it's just kind of encouraging people to be the one, you know, be the one to make a difference, be the one to stand up, be the one to say what you feel. I really love that song. And there's another single that I put out last year called Stand. And that one is very powerful for me too, and I co-wrote that with my friend Kevin Porter. And that really is just encouraging people to stand for something, because so many times people are afraid to use their voices. So many times people are afraid to stand up for what they believe in. They're afraid how people are going to react. But it's important that we do, because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Yeah.
And then being your music is so political at times, like. And you got every other thing going on as far as the female movements, like Me Too's and everything else that's going on. How do you manage to not be conflicted by when you're writing as far as each topic?
As far as keeping them separate?
Yeah. I mean, because like, you know, we have stuff going on over here, and then we got stuff going on over there, and it's like, okay, we fixed one problem over here, we still got this problem over here. Right. So like, how do you, as far as a musician goes?
As far as writing goes, I think honestly, I try to keep them together, because in the songs that I write, they are, I don't want to say generic, but they are kind of a general call to action type songs that I write, and really just galvanizing people to stand up and to fight in whatever movement you're fighting for, like, do it, you know? So that's usually when I'm writing, I am trying to think of songs that everybody can relate to, because I think it's very important. As I said, you know, music is universal. So I want anybody who's fighting for anything or has a movement that they're involved in to listen to my song and be like, that could be the theme song for my movement, or that could be the theme song for what I feel, you know?
True. And then you got your political songs, you got your love songs for your husband.
Yeah.
When do you make music just to have fun? What are some songs that you've made for yourself, just having fun, like nothing behind it, no message. It's been a while, I'm not gonna lie, because even on my last record, Pieces of Me, there are definitely hidden messages in the songs that I've written, but I think that's next. You know, because I haven't really dabbled into that, because I have been so focused recently on writing songs that have a message. So I'm hoping to just put out a fun, like, summer track soon, you know, where people can just bob their head to and have a good time. But it takes time, so it'll be for next summer. Right. All right, and then, like, if you could have the perfect studio session, who is the people that you would have as far as your songwriters, your instrumentators, who would be in the room, and what would be the vibe that you guys would have? What's something that you need to record? So
as far as instrumentation goes, I haven't thought that far into it, but I know for sure as far as songwriters that I would want India Ari and Gavin DeGraw.
Oh.
And both of them, for very similar reasons, even though they're very different in styles. Like India is very much the neo-soul R&B, but her lyrics and her voice really have always spoken to me. and Gavin DeGraw really for the same reason, but he also plays piano. And so I would love to learn from him how he uses, because I feel like the songs that he writes, he uses his musicianship in what he chooses as far as chord progressions to also continue to tell the story of what he's written with his music. So I'd love to learn from both of them and write a song with both of them, because I think that it would help me grow even more as an artist.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then also, aside from the music, you also have a podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us about Boss Please.
So I started that a year ago with Megan LaMontagne and Jillian Leff, two very good friends of mine. And the idea behind it was really just to showcase female bosses in any capacity. So we've had people from stay-at-home moms to estheticians to CEOs to show like females are bosses all across the board. And it's really been cool to hear everybody's story, because I think it's really important to hear people's stories, and everybody has a different one. So, you know, when you think of a stay-at-home mom, you think, you know, just watching TV or playing games, but it's really amazing what they're doing with raising kids. It takes a lot to make sure your kid doesn't grow up to suck, you know? And being a stay-at-home mom really, I think, is a underappreciated job, because it is a full-time job. And then, you know, some of the CEOs of businesses that we've interviewed, hearing how they got to that point in male-dominated industries is really inspiring. So yeah, we've had a whole gamut of people, and it's been really cool.
All right, and then who would you say was your favorite guest?
Ooh, that's a great question. There have been a couple, but I think her name's Lynette Williams, and she's currently the keyboard player for Donald Glover. And I love that she is a female keyboard player in an all-male band, and she's killing it. And it's hard for her because she is the only female on tour and on the road with them, but she's getting so much recognition recently, and hearing her story and how she got there and the auditions she missed and the auditions she didn't take, and then to end up playing with Donald Glover, like, that's huge. So I'm really proud of her, and hearing her story was really cool.
Especially somebody who also plays the keys.
Yeah.
Even though it's not the same issue.
Right, but
you guys can still have a jam.
Right, for sure. I'd love to jam with her. She's amazing. Yeah.
Right. And then back to the music. What's the song that you haven't finished yet?
There's a song that I'm currently writing with Anna and one of the producers on the EP named Kamika, and it's called All Around the World. And the hook is simply all around the world we say hey. And it's kind of to show that everybody's equal. So we started that, we haven't finished it yet, but I'm really excited for that one to come out.
That's dope.
Yeah.
And then being back on the one, what is something that you want people to take away from it, from the project, when they listen to it?
My heart, honestly. I want people to see that I'm authentic and honest, and I want them to really feel like they got to know me a little bit in those songs.
Okay, and then what's something that you feel people get misconstrued about you from the music?
Ooh, that is a great question. What is misconstrued about me? Well, I would say that not even listening to it, but just looking, they're gonna assume it's gonna be an R&B album, and it's not. It's very pop soul. I love R&B, but it's not how I classify myself. So I think that when they listen to it, they'll hear that there's a lot of pop influence in there.
And I was thinking that, you know, being that it was so politically charged, that people would be like, nah, this strong black female, nah, I don't want to listen to it. I don't know.
It's
that's
possible,
too much.
yeah, but when they hear it, I think that I think people will probably hear and feel a piece of themselves in those songs as well.
All right. And then tell us about growing up in Santa Barbara.
Growing up in Santa Barbara, it was very not diverse, to say the least. But you know, it's one of those cities that you don't appreciate until you go back. You know, it's very beautiful. It's changed a lot, but I think I would say in the scope of Black lives, I did live a very privileged one, to be honest. But thinking back, I did encounter a lot of racism that was subtle. In that city, I feel like it was hidden, you know, but now, if I was woke as I am now, back then, I would have called people out on a couple of things, you know,
Yeah.
But growing up, you're not aware of it. But, you know, my mom really made sure that my sister and I were exposed to Black culture, that we were exposed to our roots, and that we were able to come to LA a lot, 'cause a lot of her family from Louisiana ended up moving to LA, so that we would come and visit them and be exposed to that part of our background, so that we weren't only surrounded by one race and only influenced by one race.
All right. And then here's a tough question.
Okay.
If you had to choose either one to eradicate, would it be female injustice or racial injustice?
I think racial injustice, because I think that affects more people than female injustice. Obviously, I want to get rid of both of them, but racial injustice isn't just black and white. It's in the Hispanic culture, it's in the Asian culture, it's Pacific Islander. It goes across so many different races. So I think if we were able to get rid of that, then we could start focusing on the other issues.
True. You got so many females managing that.
No, they're gonna understand. They're gonna understand.
We're supposed to get together on this. Like,
still girl power. But I think racial injustice.
You just sold us out. All right, and then go back to the last question for the one. You got everything that you, or what was the feedback that you got when you put it out? Like, as soon as it came out and you got so many people listening to it, what was like some of the things you saw that people mentioned, or some even if it was close relatives that came up to you and told you about the album, what was some of the things that you got from it?
I would say from the people that have been following my career over the last few records I've put out, they saw the growth in me. And that's what was really important for me, for people to see. They saw how I've grown as a person and as an artist, just musically, and what I'd have to say. And then for new people, just enjoying music that is positive and inspirational, and something different. So I think that was cool to hear.
Okay, and then having fans. Yeah. This probably happens to a lot of artists, so I'm gonna ask you, how do you deal with it? Like, how do you deal with it when fans like hear your new stuff and they come back to you and be like, okay, that was great, but that wasn't what I wanted. I wanted this from you. I want that old stuff from you.
Yeah. Like, I haven't had that happen though, but I feel like if that were to happen, I would have to explain that every artist grows and every artist evolves. So you have to try new things, and it depends on where I am in my life, what type of music and what kind of vibe I'm going to put out. So where I am right now is really in that empowerment stage, so that's what they're going to get from me.
If you had to promote the album to a newfound fan, how would you pitch it?
I would say this music is for anyone that wants to be inspired, and for anybody that wants to hear a different perspective on certain situations. If you have an open mind, then my music is for you.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure speaking with you. I'm sure every female is going to be mad at that last question, but I'm sure they get over it once they listen to the music. They'll be like, all right, I understand. You good, but you got me on that one. You good. All right. So, hey, everybody, make sure you go check out Malynda Hale and her new project, The One. Yeah. Make sure you go listen to the single from something worth fighting for right now on all the streaming services. On all the streaming services.
All of them. Every single one, yeah.
All right, but then you can go listen to the whole project and get all the songs together. Get her, she need to go platinum. It deserves to go platinum.
Thank you.
So I'm sure Donald Trump or somebody gonna come find you and be like, I appreciate all this feminism.
I never dropped his name, so it's fine.
All right, well, hey, everybody go check out the album. Go check. Where can they find you at?
MalyndaHale.com, and at all my social medias at Malynda Hale. Keep it easy.
You might want to spell it because people don't.
MALYNDAHALE.
Everybody got a black mama, so you be like, how do you spell that?
That's so true. It's very different, yeah.
That's what's up. All right, guys, we out of here. Peace.